Hello and welcome to The Impact with Robin Dorsey, where we feature some extraordinary individuals. I am your host, Robin Dorsey. Thank you for joining us. Today's show features the extraordinary Tieshena Davis. Tieshena Davis is a force to be reckoned with. She is the founder and CEO of Purposely Created Publishing. She has successfully empowered 16 exceptional best-selling authors to fulfill their dreams, and she is also a best-selling author. She has over 15 years of executive management experience, working with some of the most elite Fortune 500 companies in the world, which includes Marriott International, Airmark, and many others. In addition, Tieshena was recently recognized by Forbes ranked leadership company Stiletto Women Media as the 2014 Business on the Rise Award recipient. She is truly remarkable because she had a gift and a knack in making a difference in people's lives. She is always willing to lend a hand, an ear, or to provide counseling to people in need. Lastly, she is a woman of God and a mother to a beautiful daughter. She leads by example to show her daughter that you can do anything you put your mind, heart, and soul into, despite any adversities you may face. At an early age, Tieshena quickly learned how to overcome adversity in life by taking hardships and turning them into life-changing opportunities. After being abandoned in Philadelphia by her mother as an infant and watching her father battle with drug addiction throughout her early childhood and teenage years, Tieshena naturally developed the ability to triumph over the adversity. At the age of 16, she moved to Washington, D.C. on her own to start a new journey in life, fueling her ambition to succeed. While sharing her testimony, she discovered her true identity and learned how to embrace painful situations she endured in her past. Tieshena utilizes her personal stories of childhood tragedy, courage, tenacity as tools to educate and empower her clients, audiences, and friends. When we come back, we will talk to Tieshena Davis.
We have a big problem, and we need your help.
It's happening on college campuses, at bars, at parties, even in high schools.
It's happening to our sisters and our daughters,
our wives and our friends.
It's called sexual assault, and it has to stop.
We have to stop it. So listen up.
If she doesn't consent, or if she can't consent, it's rape, it's assault.
It's a crime. It's wrong.
If I saw it happening, I was taught you have to do something about it.
If I saw it happening, I speak up.
If I saw it happening, I'd never blame her. I'd help her.
Because I don't want to be a part of the problem.
I want to be a part of the solution.
We need all of you to be part of the solution. This is about respect. It's about responsibility.
It's up to all of us to put an end to sexual assault. And that starts with you.
Because one is too many.
Welcome back and welcome, Tieshena Davis.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you for having me. I really, really appreciate this opportunity and this moment to be here with you.
Thank you for coming. I'm truly excited to tell the world about this extraordinary, phenomenal woman who's sitting right here next to me today.
Aww.
You were abandoned by your mother and your dad had a drug addiction. How hard was it growing up without parents and a structured foundation?
It was very hard. In my early ages, probably between, infancy and maybe 8 years old or so, it didn't really affect me as much because I had my grandparents around, I had other family members, I had friends. But then as I started to transition into my young teenage years, it really started affecting me.
Okay.
Because one, a child growing up without a mother, you know, a lot of questions start rising. Well, who is my mother? Where is my mother? Why isn't she here?
Right.
Why isn't she trying to come back and get me? You know, all of those questions. And then on the other hand, I saw my dad going through his drug addiction. So it wasn't like seeing him made me want to just go run into his arms.
Right.
You know, it definitely wasn't the American dream. Daddy's coming home after work. We're going to have a great meal and eat. So when I saw him, it was the total opposite. It was kind of like, no, I don't want to see you, get away. I don't want people to see you around me. So a lot of mixed emotions, a lot of mixed feelings. And what's interesting about it is the void that my mother placed in my life and my dad are totally two different types of voids.
Okay.
Because being abandoned, the emotional feelings that you get from that and the aftermath is totally different from seeing your parent struggle with drug addiction.
Right.
With my mother abandoning me, I didn't know who she was, right? So the difference with my father, I knew who he was. So
Right.
now you have someone that's totally not there, and you have someone who isn't in your life like domestically, but they're still there because I still got to see my father every day or every 3 days in the neighborhood or when he came by my grandmother's house to eat or something like that. So in terms of structuring, it scarred me. It scarred me a lot as a teenager. It really made me become this isolated child. Because I was confused. I started having all types of questions. Well, is this even my father's family? Like, are they my real family members? So then I started to have a lot of questions of love and acceptance. And a lot of that then went over into my teenage years and then my early adulthood years and then even into my adult years. And to be quite honest with you, a lot of it still affects me until this day. Abandonment is something, unless you've experienced it, I don't believe a person can ever understand the full capacity of its impact, emotionally and psychologically. So what I can say is, you know, I'm fortunate. As crazy as it may sound, like you're fortunate for that adversity, I actually am, because it's helped me now make sure that I have the proper things in place for my daughter. Yeah.
Okay. As an adult growing up, your mom abandoned you. Did you ever try to go look for your mom or just to figure out who she was, just so you can ask her why? Or at this point, you realize you don't want to know who she is. You don't care why she did what she did.
Actually, I did. At the age of 19, when I was already here, because I left Philly at 16 and came from Philly to D.C. to go to Job Corps. And at the age of 19, I actually paid an investigator to find my mother. And it's crazy. At the time, I lived in Silver Spring, Maryland, and she was right in Baltimore, Maryland, and still is in Baltimore, Maryland. So, and in my reasoning for doing that was because I didn't want to continue going in life, having those questions of why, where, how, who. And then there was some other things that transpired when I was little before she left. And I wanted answers to those questions. And I knew what my father's family was telling me. I knew what medical documents told me. I remembered going back and forth to the hospital, but I wanted to hear her story and not so much to judge her. I just needed to know for myself because I was going into adulthood. So I needed a lot of questions answered.
Do you all have a relationship now?
Unfortunately, we don't.
No. So it wasn't able to repair for so much time that has passed.
That was a part of it. Also, a part of it is just being human, you know, being human. And there's certain type of people that I respect. There's certain type of people that I choose to associate myself with and not. And she's just not that type of person that I would associate myself with. So I wasn't going to sit and continue to suffer. Just to say, hey, I met my mom and we're good. That would so be a lie. So unfortunately, we don't have a relationship right now.
Has your dad overcome drug addiction?
He has.
Good.
My father has been clean now for 15 years.
Okay.
And he's given it a shot twice. The first time he went ahead and tried to get himself cleaned up, and he relapsed like a year later.
Okay.
Very disappointing, especially when you've been wanting this for your father for the longest, and it happens, and now you start envisioning your future, and then he relapsed. But he's been clean now for 15 years.
Okay. And do you all have a relationship now?
That's my best friend.
Oh, so there was a silver lining out of it. He overcame his drug addiction, and you were able to repair your relationship.
Yes.
Okay, awesome. When did you realize this environment was not healthy and you had to make a change?
I actually realized that around the age of 13 or 14 because I knew for sure the things that I didn't want. So a lot of the things that were going on in my environment, I knew I don't want to be this type of person. I don't want to engage in these types of things. So what I started doing was really creating a vision of what it is that I wanted for my life.
Okay.
And I didn't so much think about my adulthood,
Right.
but for the next few years, like, I don't want to be in this environment. I totally want to be somewhere else. And it just so happened that Job Corps wound up being that place. God answered my prayers, and I was so grateful for that opportunity to be able to go to Job Corps at 16. I truly, truly believe Job Corps saved me and
Saved
changed
your
my
life.
life.
Wow.
Yeah.
And it has helped so many people in this world make a difference and have and strive to live and make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
How has your childhood had an effect on the way you raise your daughter?
Oh, it's had a tremendous effect. As I just mentioned, a lot of the things that I encountered, I knew early on the things that, one, I didn't want for my life. So now with my daughter, I've made it very clear, about everything that I want for her. My involvement, the nurturing, the love, the support, the communication, all those things that I didn't have.
Right.
I make sure that I give my daughter all of that. So, and probably too much.
It's okay. That's okay. Children need our love and our
Yes.
guidance.
Yes.
And because you did not have that at the time growing up, you're able to embrace that in her and to share something that you know that she needs.
Exactly. And, it hasn't been easy. Let
Okay.
me say that. It hasn't been easy because it's not like I had that model. It's
Okay.
not like I knew about the mother and daughter bond. So one, I never had it. And then two, I was always told as a child, well, in my early teenage years, it's a possibility I wouldn't be able to have children due to my molestation as an infant.
Wow.
And from that happening, that's when my mother just wound up and left. After that incident, I was in and out of surgeries a lot. Between infancy and 10 years old. So then when I went into my teenage years, started to become sexually active, go
Right.
see the doctor, they're like, well, depending on how your body develops, you may or may not be able to have children.
Wow.
So one, not having that relationship with a mother, I don't know what this mother and daughter thing is about.
Right.
And then being told that you probably won't have a child, I never developed those instincts. I never developed like that want.
Right.
I wasn't the girl that's like, when I get 25, I want a daughter, I want a son. Like, that just wasn't my reality at the time. But God is good because I have a daughter.
Absolutely. And she's wonderful.
Yes, yes, yes.
Working with some of the leading Fortune 500 companies in the world, what was one of the most profound business strategies or lessons learned?
I've learned a lot of business strategies, but more important, it's the principles that I've learned.
Okay.
And the principles that I've learned are always operate in excellence
Okay.
and integrity.
I love it.
Always.
Okay.
And number two, always meet people where they are.
Okay.
Don't ever think because you're in a leadership position and you call the shots,
Yes.
that you bring yourself down on a pedestal, and just meet a person where they are. remember where you came from.
That's
remember
right.
the path that you had to take to get where you are. And then just think about being human
That's
and the
right.
things that occur in people's lives. So we know in those types of positions, it's all about having a body in place
Right.
to fill the shift. You know, you got to make money and all of that great stuff. But at the same time, you have to understand that people are human, things happen, and the same things can happen to you. So always operate in excellence, integrity, and meet people where they are.
I love it. That's a powerful message.
Yeah.
As a business mogul, what advice could you give to someone who has a goal of becoming an entrepreneur?
You know, a lot of people will probably tell you some things about, structure and that whole type thing. My advice for anyone who's aspiring to become an entrepreneur is first get very, very clear on your why.
Okay.
Because it's not all that it's cracked up to be.
That is true. It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. I mean, I work more
Yes.
hours than if I was to be out working in corporate or
America.
nonprofit. And I work just as hard as I did. I've always been a hard worker, but it's a lot. So get very clear on your why. Do you want to be an entrepreneur?
Right.
You know, do you want to be a freelancer? Do you want to be a consultant? It's a difference.
Absolutely.
So understand the differences. And then if you still want to take that route of being an entrepreneur, get very clear on your intentions. Get very clear on your intentions. My mentor, Katrina Harrell, she has something she calls your why, W-H-I, right? So the W is why now, and what is it that you want to do? H is how are you going to do it?
Okay.
And then the I is what are your intentions for doing it? So get very clear on those 3 or 4 things.
Okay. Part of the problem, people see entrepreneurship as a way to be financially free and make tons and millions of dollars, but however, they don't see the sacrifices that you make because you often work longer hours. As you stated, you are in charge of everything that goes well as everything that goes wrong. So it's a lot of work, but they only see the output. They don't see that input that you put in.
That's correct.
When did you start your publishing company, Purposely Created, and why did you choose that name?
I actually started in 2014. I published my first book, The End, in December of 2013.
Okay.
And came up with the idea to actually go ahead and form a publishing company in 2014. So we launched March 2014.
Yes.
And the reason I came up with that name, it's a two-folded answer.
Okay.
So one, I was thinking about just what we said, your intentions.
Right.
What is it that you want to do? Why do you want to do it? And I thought about my book. I thought about all of the feedback that I received. And then I just thought about words, period.
Okay.
And how words can totally transcend or transform someone. In school, they taught us, well, what was it? Words, don't hurt your feelings.
Right.
So far from the truth,
Yes.
right? Words can definitely hurt your feelings.
Absolutely,
Words
they
can
can.
definitely keep you behind and
Yes.
keep you stagnated and hindered, or they can totally elevate you, accelerate you, or catapult you. So with that, I said, okay, if I'm going to focus in on these words, connecting that with a publishing company, it's going to be purposely created just for that one reason.
I love
to
it.
let people know that words have power.
Yes, they do.
And we can use that power to impact generations. So I said, that'll be the name. So then when I started thinking about the types of books that I wanted to publish and the type of authors I wanted to work with, I said, even their work will be
Yes.
purposely created.
Okay.
So this just makes sense. In terms of just staying aligned with what I believe God has chosen for me to do in my assignment and my calling, I said, well, if I was to die today, I had a crazy, crazy epiphany,
Okay.
right? So as you know, before this business, I was a business consultant.
Yes, you were.
Helping micro entrepreneurs. I had an epiphany one day, sitting at my computer. Something hit me and said, Ty, if you die today, your business would die with you. You know how sometimes we hear things, we gotta
Yes.
like, what you say? So I went through that, like, say that again. And it made so much sense. It was absolutely true. I mean, what would I really have for my daughter in terms of a legacy, besides some money saved in the bank and some other valuables and stuff like that? But all of this work that I was doing, utilizing these gifts and talents that God gave me, how could that live on?
Yes.
Literally, it would have died if I would have died that day. So with that, that's when I started thinking about the publishing company as well, and really the type of work that I wanted to put out. And I wanted to make sure it aligned with that same thing. If that author was to die today, would the book live on?
Okay.
If I was to die today, could the publishing company live on? So that's the story behind that.
Wow, you are truly amazing as woman that you are. You have crossed many boundaries in a way to empower women, to empower yourself, because it started with you ultimately. And then it started with that goal and that dream and that passion that God instilled into you to be able to share with other people. And so you're making people's dreams come true, because there's many people who have the gift of writing, the gift of words, and they're not able to say it with their voice, but they can say it with their pen. And now you have that platform to provide them that opportunity to make their dream come true. So that is amazing.
It is.
What would you like the world to know about Tieshena Davis as it relates to your future goals?
That I want to expand that message on being purposely created. So I realize that I'm doing that now with books, and I'll continue to do that. But I want to also spread that message in other ways and through other channels. I realize not everybody want to read a book.
Right.
I mean, people just don't. Sometimes people want little pamphlets. And sometimes a person can just read one quote, a one-line quote, and that can totally transform social awareness, education, and personal transformation. And also, we'll all with that one unified message that we all are purposely created.
That is phenomenal. You are extraordinary, and that's why we chose to feature you here today, because you're an extraordinary woman who gives back and make a difference, and I thank you for having you on the show. Today you learned about the extraordinary Tieshena Davis. She is continuously breaking barriers and living life to the fullest. This best-selling author and publisher has much more to come. Thank you for tuning in to The Impact with Robin Dorsey. For more information about Tieshena Davis or to be a featured guest on The Impact with Robin Dorsey, visit our website at www.robindorsey.com.